Man behind the curtain. Welcome back to Boldly Trekking. I'm here with Sean, the wise,
Hi.
and I'm checking to see. Yeah, it looks like we are streaming right now, so good to go.
Job.
Yeah. Anyways, yes, we were just talking about Sean right now for Starship Beowulf is working on his bylaws to get those in force so he can get his ship a shipping. Um, what? How's that going, by the way?
We're taking the old bylaws of the Beowulf and we're mincing them together with some more updated content from Starfleet International, because the original bylaws we had were off of United Federated Planets, so we're having to swap out all the clauses that had anything to do with United Federated Planets.
Bro. Anyway, uh,
You were just waiting to do that, weren't you?
it's important to have goals. I'm sorry. I just remembered I needed to unplug my soldering iron. Sorry about that.
It's probably good, especially if it's on.
What?
Especially if it was on, that would be.
It was. Because I've been working on the C, getting the wiring down. It's been a bit frustrating, but I've been working on it here. I'm going to show it off to you because it's important to show things off.
Yeah.
Let me see. Where's the negative? Here it is.
He touches it. That's the negative.
Just to give you an idea how she's going.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And yeah, of course you can't see all the windows because of the masking. And I just put on this warp nacelle. I haven't connected the wiring yet. But once that one's done, and I've already got the saucer section all wired up. So once I finish getting this wired up and sealed up, then I can start the paint job and get that done. But yeah, and I've got it so that the when they're plugged in, well, let me show you here. Okay, there's this one. Haha, we'll go with this one first. As you can tell here, right there. You see the red light there?
Yeah.
Nav beacons are hooked up, and was this the positive or the negative? Or okay, here it is. And
we hooked up the self-destruct.
Well, it's important to have, and the strobes are on the back as well.
Nice.
So once I get I tried out the Tena Controls nav board. I hooked that up once just for shits and giggles, and they blinked and strobed, and it was pretty cool. So it's once I get it all down and together, it's going to be looking pretty cool. I mean, if I ever just
we're doing really great.
tweak this and get it done.
Well, there we go. It looked really good.
What was that, sir?
So basically, with the bylaws, besides stripping stuff, we have to reintroduce all the, privacy and stuff that has to go with Starfleet and all their current policies in regards to that. So.
Oh, that should be easy to put in. As a matter of fact, what would be the easiest thing to put in is just to say, we adhere to the bylaw, to the privacy statements, as you can look them up here. That way you don't actually put them in. You just reference them. And that way you don't have it in the document. Just a reference to the document that they should look at should be there. And it simplifies yours, and also make sure it's constantly current. If they ever update those privacy laws, then that's automatically reflected in.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I'm planning on doing. Stuff like that on the current version. And then we're going to discuss, if we want to have any kind of dues. I don't personally think having any dues for a more or less correspondent chapter is really necessary, because it wouldn't make any sense from my point of view.
Well, it all depends. I mean, and here's my thought on it. A small, a small due, dues, be it just like a couple dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Just something that, that way when the Beowulf wants to, make patches or something like that. All right, you have a kitty with some fundage in it that you can go ahead and use for that purpose.
Project
And
controls, yeah.
yeah, with the remote chapter, it would be, you're pretty much right there assured that almost everybody is, technology capable, not techno hostile. And
We don't have Luddites here.
yeah, so at that point, you'd be able to, because we know people in other groups that are still working with Windows 7.
Yeah. Okay. And they're
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, exactly. And so you'd be sure you'd be rest assured that almost everybody in your group has access to PayPal, Venmo, whatever payment system. And like for me, if it was something like that, I would just automatically set it up, like I do for my what is it for my donations to Khan Academy. Ever since COVID hit. When that first hit, we used Khan Academy a lot for Gannon for studying at home until the school systems figured out what the hell they were doing. And it was so helpful and so beneficial that I just started donating $5 a month to it. And I was like, hey, yeah, this is worth it. So I just set it up on my PayPal, $5 a month. Here we go. And I've never shut it off because it's a worthy donation.
Yeah.
But if I were to be a member of Beowulf, I would just set it up, like whatever it is, $1-2 a month auto pay, and have it automatically go into the fundage for Beowulf, and that way you guys can have stuff to play around with. So if you want to build, get banners done or the patches or anything like that, you can do it.
Yeah, sure. So it's actually goes back to something with a group that I was part of. I think the Ranger actually did this. They had a very, I guess you would say, sort of like segmented or tiered system of how they did things. So there was general crew, and then that was a general meeting, and then there was a command staff meeting that if you were part of this command staff, you had to pay an extra fee to be part of the command staff. So it would be anybody who was a department head. It would be the first officer, the captain, and basically that group.
I do not personally like that, just because I am not a fan of pay to play.
Yeah.
And that sounds like to me that if you want to be part of the command crew, you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
And
that was something that I saw in several of the bylaws that were out there, and it was also something I was aware of on the Ranger. At least I think it was on the Ranger. I could be wrong. If I am, I'm wrong. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think donations are good. I just don't really want there to be something where, especially in this day and age with how things are going for people, I really don't want to set up any kind of pay to play for you to actually attend a Beowulf meeting or
easy peasy. Just put in there that it is you can either put in that it's voluntary, or you can put in if for whatever reasons you wish to claim financial hardship and not pay it, just fill out this form, no questions asked at all. Just fill out this quick thing that says, I claim, and don't even make it a form, just make it a checkbox. I claim financial hardship. Boom, done. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
Yeah. And and make it like I said, make it something that's not even questioned. Just, are you or aren't you? And whichever way you go, we don't care.
Right.
Yeah.
You're September regardless.
Yeah.
So
just a thought.
That's mostly what I've been working on, and I've been working on art, of course. So I'm doing some stuff for OTI, which is trying to get the Phalanx cruiser plans done for that, and doing the logo for, or not OTI, but it was OSA. Sorry, too much stuff on the brain. OTI is the logo I'm doing to update that, which is the Office of Technical Information. And besides all that, I've been cobbling together things for the Beowulf table. So the next time we have a table, we'll have stuff to put on there. And one of the things I found, which I could not resist, was a Tribble from Science Division, and it's completely app controlled. It is a Tribble which will react to people. You can put it into different modes, so it purrs. It'll move around a little bit.
Does it have a Klingon mode?
Yeah, it'll scream. Set it to Klingon mode, and it'll scream anytime anybody gets near it. So it'd be funny to set it as a tack Tribble, And then bought like a whole bunch of little Tribbles, so I just pour them on top of the big Tribble and have it moving around.
Now, so this is something that you've actually found.
Yeah, I've got it. I actually found one of the last ones.
Oh my goodness!
Amazon, and look for it. You can look for Science Division Tribble, and it'll give a description of it. But it's
I have to.
Yeah, it's pretty. So
there it is.
I could build one, but if it's already been built, then
that's if somebody else has done something cooler than you'll ever do. That's the reason that I am waiting, not so patiently, for that damn TOS tricorder to finally come up for sale. It came up for sale for just like one day, and only a couple people got the invite, and only a couple, and the Amazon UK page was just on and off on it. It's so much so that they sent out an email to everybody and said, okay, some screws going on, we're going to shut down. All right, we're until our stocks build up, and we get more stuff sent to the Amazon warehouse. We're not going to do it again and then we're going to let people know. And it's freaking irritating. I want my damn tricorder.
I can understand. I've actually been wondering if, like, this late a date, is it possible to even get a tricorder ordered?
You mean is it even possible to get a reservation to get a tricorder?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Well, I happen to have 2 reservations.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got one that I filled out in when they first came open in 2023, and then I had completely forgot about it. And then when they were like, "Oh, this, we're going to go ahead and it's getting closer," I was like, "Oh, did I register for that?" So I registered again. So I have 2 of them, but they're like a year apart.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're willing to sell one of them to me, I'll be willing to buy it.
We'll see if I can even get one first.
So that was the fun this last week, was the Tribble. And I thought about, the sheer terror I can inspire in children by, putting a tack Tribble in like a container, like a little acrylic container, have a bunch of tribbles, and have somebody reaches in for the Tribble and it starts screaming. Be like, yeah, don't touch the Tribble. It's an attack Tribble. It'll eat you.
Yeah,
look at the flames! Look at the flames!
He's got great big teeth. What's he gonna do? Nibble your buns off?
You don't know the half of it. But yeah,
brought the Klingon Empire to its knees. No, but yeah. So I'm working on that, and like I said, told you earlier, I'm working on some fool sent me information on the most important machine in the universe.
Guilty as charged.
And yeah, and so that piqued my interest. And I showed it to the wife. She said, "Oh yeah, you should make that." So I'm doing it, and the main things that I'm going to be waiting on is to get the LED filament in, because that's difficult to get a hold of in red. And that's what I needed, was in red. And so that, I mean, if I wanted it in white, I could have had it here on Sunday. But in red, it's going to be about another week or 2 before it shows up, especially with the way everything is with the tariffs right now.
Yeah,
I know that at one point I tried ordering some COB LEDs, was it last week? And 5 meters of it, $13. That's about what you pay. But right before I learned this when dealing with AliExpress before you check out, you check everything over, because the slightest little thing and they can really hose you. And so I checked it over, and sure enough, it was $13 for it. But right under that, it said extra shipping charges due to tariffs, and that was an extra $14 on top of it. So I was like, no, we're not doing that one.
There was some guy on Facebook. He had some sort of product that he was purchasing from China for like $278, and because of the tariffs, it was come out to like 286 something. Like, it was still in the 200 range, but it was still like, like for just for the tariffs material attached. So it was like the total cost is something almost $500.
Yeah, because they're knocking those tariffs up to, what is it, 145%?
Yeah, it was
yeah, it's stupid.
That looked painful. It's like, wow.
And the stupid thing is that I've followed a couple things where they're talking about how right now the number of cargo ships coming in are dropping precipitously, and the number of truckers that are moving product have dropped down. And according to like Walmart and all of them, they've got like 2, maybe 3 weeks of product stored up in warehouses before it all starts, we start having empty shelves.
Yeah.
And the thing is that even if right now, they go ahead and say, okay, the tariffs are off, it's going to take a while to get those ships loaded up, get them across the ocean and over and all stuff like that. So we could be in for some fun times.
Right. Yeah.
What's that?
Just like COVID, when they started getting stuff in or starting getting stuff back into the pipeline, it wasn't immediate. It wasn't like that.
No.
It took months, and people were like, "Well, it's not going to be bad." I'm like, "This is beyond just stupid." But that's my opinion. But it is what it is. I can't change it. So, the second part is also, besides the fact of, like you're talking about, like the ports. Like a friend of mine lives up in the Pacific Northwest, and like one of the reports was that the last ship came in like on April 30th or May 1st for Seattle, for the port.
Then they just started avoiding the port.
Yeah. And so the dock workers are basically sitting there with no work. So if they lose their jobs, then that's a knock on to everything else in Seattle. And then eventually it'll hit here because, in Kansas and whatnot, because we have to have stuff sent to us, and it's overland truckers and railroads that send them in and move them around, obviously. But if there's no product to put on the shelves, like you talked about, it's going to have a real detriment. The saddest thing, what is it, Exo-6 or whatever it is that produces the Star Trek action figures over in the UK, they are not even going to distribute them here in the United States anymore.
The TOS tricorder, I have to get it from the UK Amazon store, because they're not even shipping it over to the US Amazon store, because it's a UK company, and they're like, no, you're going to have to order it from here and pay the shipping and all the stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm prepared for it. I've been saving money now for a year and a half, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
But this one is one that I know, because I've even seen where people, the couple of people that did get the tricorder, some of them immediately turned around and put them for sale up on eBay. Did you see some of that?
I haven't seen the prices for it, but imagine
they were automatically nailing them up to close to $1,000.
Wow.
Just out of the gate. Hadn't even gotten it yet. They've already had it up for sale for $1,000. And people were knocking on the door.
Well, I know, like the Tomy Enterprise, the first version, the TOS Enterprise, was $499, $599, and now sells for $2,500 on eBay.
Yeah, I looked that up. I looked that up, and that is just stupid. And did you see the price for what the Wan Company's original phaser is going for now?
Something like $600, isn't it? Or
Close
better?
to $5,000.
Really?
I've seen some of the eBay things. Let me make sure I'm not blowing smoke here.
No problem.
Now, keep in mind, just because somebody has it up there for that price doesn't mean they're going to get that price.
Yeah. That makes sense.
One Company phaser. Let's see here. Well, here's one for $18.95, $19.95. Here's one for $2,200. Yeah. My little Bluetooth communicator that I have is going for $500. Yeah. So they are a sought after product.
Oh yeah.
And I know for a fact that your new Tomy refit, that bad boy is probably going to go for a lot of money.
Oh yeah.
On the secondary market.
Oh yeah. If I had the money to actually buy 2 or 3 of them, I probably would have. I could have made some really nice bank on it, but at the same time, I don't like overextending myself. I like to keep my expenses down to a reasonable level and be able to pay off my bills and whatnot. So,
and that's the imperative. I know that for me with these with the tricorders, they said in the email you can only get 2. But then they also said in the same email, we realize we have no way of stopping you from, after you do that purchase, logging back out and then logging back in and ordering another 2. Please don't do that. And I really hope, and I'm watching my stuff like a hawk, because I know that they said what time, when whatever date that they decide to go ahead and release them, they said, okay, we will do it at this time in England, GMT. All right. And I already did the math, and I know there's going to be 10 a.m. here. So I have an alarm set on my phone every day. It goes off at 10 a.m. and I'm checking it to make sure that email didn't hit. Because I want to get my 2 tricorders, one for me and one possibly to sell later on. But but I'm not going to be one of those guys that's going to log in and try to get multiples. No, they said 2. 2's all I'm going to get. That's it.
Sure.
And plus, with what I figure I'm going to have to pay with tariffs and shipping and everything, I'm only going to be able to afford 2.
So is Gannon prepared to be sold? Sell your firstborn child.
I don't know. I could probably get a lot of money for him. He's doing really good with the running. He PR'd again this week, and he is already in, I think, the 1 mile or the 2 mile. He's got the new school record for his school. Nice. For a sophomore. And recently on a list, he came out. It was the top 50 runners in the state of Kansas.
Wow.
In high school, and he was number 47 on that list as a sophomore.
Nice.
Yeah. And so he's already getting looked at by college recruiters, which is good. Nice. And his grades are up. So yeah, I think I can get enough for another 2 tricorders off of him. Yeah. He's worth something.
Whatever moments, Gannon. Thank you. Thank you, son.
Yeah. It's important to have goals. That's all I'm saying.
So we were going to discuss Lower Decks the last season.
Yes, I watched all of the last season, and by God, there's 2 things. I mean, I really appreciated the way that they took the time to tie it all up nicely. They brought in some other stuff too, like the what is it, the CRV 300 or whatever the ship is.
The XCV.
Yeah. Although I was not a fan of the way they had it landing.
Yeah, it's actually.
Yeah, that was like, okay, that's nah. I didn't like that.
Like a TIE fighter thing from Mandalorian, where the TIE fighter landed and folded its wings.
Yeah.
Shell design, which makes actually kind of sort of sense, but at the same time, it's for us Gen Xers who grew up with TIE fighters, and we're always like, well, the wings don't fold. It stands up. It stands up like the letter H. You know?
Yeah.
And seeing this thing fold down was like, what is that?
Yeah. No, don't retcon my engineering. Yeah, I did not like that about that ship folding up, but I liked that ship so much that I've actually tracked down someone who has some files for sale that they have made of it. The only problem is it's all for resin printing, and the size of resin printer you need for those files. I mean, I'd have to shrink it way down in order to get it to fit, but I could do it. But yeah, I'm looking at those, so I'll save up my little pennies for those files because I think he wants $25 for those files.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I'll save up for a week or two, only get, make my coffee at home instead of getting it from the convenience store. That'll save up the money. Yeah, so I liked that ship. I liked how Boimler was sick and tired of the multiverse.
Yeah.
I loved that. We're not exploring. We're just going over the same stuff with different little variations. We're supposed to be explore. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Yeah.
It's MCU-itis affecting Star Trek.
Yeah. And they called it out, and I enjoy it. Thank you so much for calling that out.
And I really actually also like the fact that I'm going to spoil it for anybody who's not seen the last season. Harry Kim is infesting the USS. What is the name of the ship? It's something like Abracadabra, but it's not. It's like
I forget. It's an aberration, for all I know.
Yeah, Abraxas or something along those lines. But anyway, he's infesting. As Ouija would say, he's infesting with Starship because. Boimler is even sick about picking up chems because they added to the collection how many chems there are on the ship.
Yeah, there's a lot of chems on that ship.
It's like, is it a giant Spock, or is it a Helix in a ship, or?
Okay, hold on here. So I'm going through and I'm looking. Trying to figure out what the name of that ship was. Oh, it was Anaximander.
Anaximander, that's it.
I
remember it had a lot of hard consonant with Anax or Abrax or something like that.
Yeah.
I just didn't remember what the last part of it was. So Anaximander, yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, the Harry Kim crew on Anaximander. And the
one other thing that it truly made me nerd and geek out, that I was like, oh, this, I mean, it cemented Lower Decks as just the best at rectifying canon.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I think it was the second to last or third to last episode, and they're having their morning meeting in the meeting room. All right. And the chief engineer is talking about how he recalibrated the rocks in the consoles and then gave a reason that the rocks were there in order to nullify some other factor or something like that. So, but they made it a reason why whenever there would be an explosion on the bridge, for some strange reason, there's these rocks flying out of the consoles. That's the reason why.
Yeah, it at least explains that. I still don't know why wood chips killed Riker necessarily, but
Hey, you know what? They can't do everything. Right?
I just find it funny because Eric Stillwell was doing a presentation of yesterday's Enterprise at ThunderCon. I remember it fondly, and he was like, we even got to kill Riker with like a chunk of wood in the neck. We were going to kill Wesley Crusher by having the console blow off his head. I was like, well, that's kind of metal.
It's a little harder than I believe Paramount was willing to go back then, or CBS was willing to go back then.
Really thrilled with the idea of decapitation for Wesley Crusher, I think, is what I remember them talking about. But yeah. And then, of course, Geordie LaForge is responsible for basically causing the warp core breach again. And he's the only guy who lives through it, because if you watch the very end of yesterday's Enterprise, Geordie is wearing the wrong uniform from the alternate universe, or the alternate timeline. So he's got the black cuffs on his uniform. The last scene with Guinan.
Oh yeah.
So he survived. He hopped universes.
I'm looking here. What is the purpose of the rocks in the bridge consoles? The rocks embedded in the consoles were known as Cordry rocks. And hold on. Sorry. I've been sneezing all day. Is to discharge leptons. Consider Cordry rocks essential because their non-centrosymmetry disrupts the charged leptons in the isolinear pathways of the main deflector.
That sounds like some grade A techno babble right there.
The rocks are likely named after Marion Cordry, a director of Star Trek brand management for Paramount Global. Well, come on. That's how we got our Jeffries tubes.
Yeah. Well, the Tucker tubes, too. The thing you're building, the thing printing, is called the Tucker tubes.
Yeah.
One version of it is. But the thing I actually really loved as well was as they're flying through the waves of displacement and trying to resolve the big oogly boogly, monster of the season. The ship is changing, so you get to see variations on the Cerritos. So, like, there's the Cerritos that has the sovereign. A bit sovereignized, and then there's the Cerritos that's the ISS Cerritos, and it's like has all these weapon systems, and Shaq I'm gonna get to blow up something, and then something gets the ship that knocks out the weapon systems. Like, that is hilarious.
Yeah.
And so I was like, this is one of the things with and one of the things I actually liked about the season was the characters all grew from being just on the lower decks to being, realistically portrayed as being, not necessarily confident at first about what they were doing, but as they got more sure of themselves and got more, used to the idea of not being the lower decks ensigns, then they actually, were, better at handling situations. And that's what led to Mariner and what's the Vulcan's name? I don't remember the Vulcan's name off the top of my head, but
I don't remember her name.
But Tendi and the Vulcan get together, and they form, when their powers combine, they become super science officer.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And here's the thing: is I liked that, but one time cool, two times not so cool,
right.
And they two-timed it when they did it with Mariner and Boimler.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of cop-outish right there.
But they did at least acknowledge that they did it, and they actually made fun of it, which is the very end where, they've been promoted and they don't want to be promoted. No, this is going to ruin our friendship. Like, this is going to be bad. I don't know. I'd be nervous about it. And the characters are being basically who they are, but they are, called out and they're not happy about it. And I thought that was kind of funny.
I'm glad that they didn't try to partner them all off romantically. Although I did want Tendi and what's his name?
Rutherford.
I wanted Tendi and Rutherford to hook up, but that's just because I thought they'd be cute.
In off-brand media, we'll probably have them.
I'm sure. Rule 34. There's some fanfic about that out there right now. Apparently, he's fully functional. That's all I'm saying.
He's no longer a little wooden boy? Is that what you're saying?
No, he's a big wooden boy now. He got the latest update.
He did have his thing taken off his head eventually.
But that only controlled mental and hormonal changes. It didn't take out all of his augments.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think he still has some augments.
Somewhere on.
Oh yeah. He's
Go Gadget.
Yeah. I think they even paid homage to it in the movie Heavy Metal. if you remember from the one with the big smiling ship and the robot there, you know, oi, you're Jewish? No, yeah.
Well, you can definitely see if he's Jewish. But anyway, yeah. The other thing I liked was that they actually poked fun at the fans a little bit. It was intended to poke fun at the fans because they wanted to see what would happen, which was the Klingon ship that got hit with the wave, and it turned the Klingons into like the version that was on the very first season of Discovery. So they're like,
Oh yeah,
proof that it's an alternate timeline, and that's what they, it was essentially a trick, to get them to do that. But the other one is I like that they turned had a wave hit the big boss monster Klingon, and her ship gets hit, and she turns into ruthless, savage proto Klingons, and the proto Klingons are trying to kill each other on the bridge, and the ship eventually spirals off. It goes. That's so
it was.
sad. It's like watching Joffrey get killed in Game of Thrones. Like, God, you're such an ass.
Well, the thing is with Joffrey and Game of Thrones, and this and here, I mean, they killed them in such a way that our main protagonists are not at fault.
Yeah,
but it was satisfactory.
Yeah,
there was a certain satisfaction to it.
Yeah. You were satisfied that you never had to listen to Joffrey ever say something again, and the character was well and truly dead.
And I feel sorry for that guy. I mean, he is, from what I understand, he as a individual, he himself, he's a great guy. I mean, give you the shirt off his back, kind of guy, really nice. But he played that ass so well. I fear that he, for the rest of his life, will be typecast as that kind of individual and won't be able to get any good parts.
He's a lot like Alan Rickman in that regard. Alan Rickman used to play villains. It's one of the reasons why he got Snape. But it's, he used to play villains every single time. And he got typecast as a villain for the most part. I mean, he played some really iconic, wonderful screen villains. I mean, the Sheriff of Nottingham from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and then you got
that wasn't him.
Yeah, it was Alan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Robin Hood Men in Tights. Sorry.
That's a whole different. That's a whole cast.
Yeah, sorry. Why? My brain went that way.
Have him be Hans Gruber and Die Hard. Any Gen Xer will be like, "What's a Christmas movie that you can watch with the entire family?" Die Hard.
Well, Die Hard, and my wife and I, way back when it first came out, we watched as a Christmas movie. We went to the theater and watched, and I think he was in it too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Sweeney Todd.
Was he in Sweeney Todd? Sure.
He was the evil judge.
Yeah, he's the evil judge, wasn't
he? He's in both my favorite Christmas movies.
There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Although that being said, one part that actually broke him away from that mold somewhat, besides Galaxy Quest, we all love Galaxy Quest, but before Galaxy Quest, there was Dogma.
Yeah, I was going to say Dogma.
And apparently, Kevin Smith is somewhat getting control of Dogma back.
Mm-hmm.
And so we might be seeing it again. I mean, for the longest time, you couldn't get a hold of it. And the only way you could watch it was old DVDs or VHSs that were going for hundreds of dollars on eBay.
Yeah. I got one of the Dogma DVDs when they first came out. I was like, well, I think I probably ought to get this before it gets disappeared. And my ex-wife at the time was like, you think you need to get it? And I was like, well, I think I know I'll watch it a lot. So yeah, I have that in my collection. I'm able to pull up the Golgotha and something monster.
The one that I spent the most money on to get a copy of, because you can't get a copy of it, it's my favorite documentary. The Day the Universe Changed by James Burke.
That is a really good documentary.
And you can't get a hold of it anymore. And so I went online and found somebody who was selling the DVD set. And I got the DVD set, and it cost me, God, I mean, I saved up. It cost me like $100 for that DVD set because BBC isn't selling it. Nobody's selling it. And it is the best, in my opinion, documentary ever made because James Burke, what can you say? He's stellar.
Yeah,
he's so good that he's the guy that the BBC sent to cover the Apollo missions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love James. He's a great science journalist and person who handles science historian, history, essentially narratives are really interesting. He makes them fun to listen to, and he makes them, you learn a lot just by watching any of his shows. I would recommend them wholeheartedly if you can find them on YouTube. But yeah, I mean, it's like the other one that I really enjoyed was the science documentary was Making of a Continent. It's no longer available either. You can download it.
What is it?
Copies of The Making of a Continent.
I've never heard of that.
Basically, it was a science program about how the North American continent got formed over the millennia. And they had multiple parts, and it talks about the geology of the continent and whatnot. It is very dated. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's come out since then that basically would make a lot of the information on the documentary look dated. But it's great. I mean, I enjoyed it. I loved watching it and finding out all about the rocks and whatnot, different places, and how things came to be in North America. And like the North American Seaway, which I'll talk about real quick because it doesn't have anything to do with Star Trek, but it is fun to talk about.
You talking about the Great Loop?
Moved over the Pacific Plate. The Pacific Plate was subducted, and it actually, because it was made the continent double thick, if you want to think of it that way, before the Pacific Plate dived into the mantle, it actually the heat source for the North American continent. So the middle of the North American continent sank into the mantle. And so the Great Seaway that existed in the middle of the North American continent was a result of that. And that also happened in Australia, and it's happening in the Philippines right now. The Philippine plate's riding over another plate. And so the Philippines, if it wasn't having that happen, it would be a much larger landmass. But because it's got that same sort of problem going on, it's a bunch of small islands all dotted all over the place. So
that's the reason here in the Midwest, if you go fossil hunting, you don't find anything but oceanic fossils until you get all the way up to like Montana and Wyoming and stuff. Everything down here you're going to find is just going to be fossilized seashells and stuff like that.
Oh,
yep. For a second there, I thought you were talking about the American Great Loop. Have you ever heard of that for boaters and sailors?
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, that is apparently that's one heck of a cool trip to make if you have the time, the boat, and the money. Of which I have none of those three requirements.
I was gonna say, I don't think any of us do these days. I'm kind of worried about how much money I'm going to have with the way things are going. I'm going to be looking at buying some toilet paper here pretty shortly. When I get back in Wichita.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah. I know how much toilet paper I need per unit of time, so I know exactly how many things of toilet paper I need to last a year or 2 years. So it's like I can
see that was the great thing. When I was single, I knew that, and even now, because I have a bidet, my toilet paper usage has gone way down. Personally, I have a teenage boy and a wife, so no matter how little I use, they take up the slack.
Well, now you made me think about that whole thing with the bidet. I could maybe see you investing in, like, if there's somebody who sells bidets from America. Because we're Asian.
Man, we have really sidetracked this discussion. Well, no, not technically, because bidet. We're still talking about a lower deck. Let me see here. Let me search my orders. I bought a replacement. Yeah, they're going for like $50 right now.
Okay, I could afford that. So
Yeah.
I can head back to my toilet and
Well, and keep in mind, the one I bought was a higher dollar one because it also hooks up to the hot water supply, so you can dial in the temperature because I'm pampered like that. But if you wanted to go just straight cold water, it'd probably be a lot less.
no, probably be fine.
Yeah, but okay, way off base.
So one of the things I did want to discuss is we discussed this like at a Maddox meeting one time, but was the idea behind some of the stuff with the Starship Beowulf. And one of the reasons why I don't like walk it into the name where it's like, NCC 1605 is because the the organization that the Beowulf was part of was called United Federated Planets for a long period of time. And they basically were come as you are, whatever fandom you wanted to be, you could be.
Yeah.
It was kind of daunting trying to keep a track of like all the different, possible fandoms you could have in your chapter. So much so that it would be, like you could, it's for fun, but you could have like really just about anything under the sun, and it really, trying to keep a track of stuff, logistically for crew members was interesting. But anyway, the point of it was that with the Cerritos going through the thing and whatnot, it actually kind of resonates back to one of the discussions we had, which was making the Beowulf where it's not just one ship, where it's like this is the Beowulf, period. But the Beowulf is all these other vessels at different points in time. So if you want to represent the Beowulf as somebody from, the Picard-esque Federation of Future, you can wear a Picard uniform. You don't have to wear an original series uniform. Not that they did anyway, but it gives you the flavor of the ship is the Starship Beowulf. It's a chapter across all these different, time periods and realities. You can reflect that with, whatever outfit you want to wear.
Right. Well, that's the thing is I would never want to get locked into a particular time frame because I'm the only one that likes the NX-01 time frame and uniforms, and I'm pretty sure that nobody else would want to wear those. And conversely, I wouldn't want to wear like the next gen uniform. I'm just not that into polyester.
Boy, you don't like the nice crisp lines on the polyester, the way it stinks when you've been out in the sun a lot?
No. No, no, thank you.
Breathable fabric, it is not. I need a cotton poly blend now, stat. Actually, I do like the NX uniform if you could have it as a two-piecer. I really don't like the jumpsuit element to it. I wouldn't mind as a jacket and then a set of pants.
That's the reason you saw me also wearing it, where like they did on the show, where the top part was pulled off and tied off. So that's the way people all the time who wear those, if they start to overheat from working, that's how they do it. But also there is the standard away, gear that they use, and that's a pants and shirt that if you didn't know it was Star Trek, it doesn't look Star Trek, and I like that because I'm understated.
You actually hit it on the head. It's one of the things I liked about the NX uniforms is that they are understated. They're more like NASA outfits.
Right.
Actually, I have a problem with the general look of the show, and actually, I thought that as a general overall thing for production, it wasn't a problem. I just thought that like we've discussed, there was things that could have been improved and things that could have been done differently. I mean, one of the funnier elements, and I was just looking at this, and I just wanted to discuss it with you at some point in time. But I'll go ahead and discuss it here because it kind of goes with the Lower Decks thing with the different ships changing out. Is that the XCV 330 had an alternate design that Matt Jeffries came up with, and it has a primary hull like a dish, and on the bottom of it, it has the construction that's very similar to the NX-01 for the support struts, except that instead of having just the nacelles like you have on the NX-01, the main body on the underside goes to a boom and then goes out to a ring like on the NX or the XCV330.
You'll have to send me that image.
I can send you an image. Yeah, let me get it for you.
Yeah. But that being said, I just looked up the away uniform.
Mhm.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Now that is understated.
That is understated.
And it's two-piece.
That's true.
Yep.
Let's see here. Let's see. I'm looking for it.
Now, question. You have a Facebook page for the Beowulf, right?
I do, but I'm actually going to switch that out because we're going to be like the Maddox has a private Facebook page.
Right. They got a crew lounge.
Yeah, they have a crew lounge. So I pretty much will need to do that for Starfleet because, you know, Starfleet International handles pages differently. If you are a member of a Starfleet group and, you know, and you want to discuss Starfleet things going on in your chapter, then they want it to be inside a private domain so it's not visible to everybody.
Oh, of course.
So
I was just asking because one of the things we need to do is, you know, we're recording this now and we're putting it up on YouTube, but it's not being put out there for anybody to see. So if you had a Facebook page, you can just take that link on YouTube and drop it up on the face page. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's something I've been remiss about. I need to do that more. And I'll be honest, I'll own that. That's something I haven't been really keeping up with.
Yeah, if you want to get viewership.
Yeah, we need to get viewership, and I also need to kick my ass and get that going because I've been looking at it, and I've been like, hey, you know, I've got to do that. Well, you got to get started to do it. You don't get it done talking about it and spinning your wheels. There we go. I sent it to you.
Oh, sweet. We got a couple of views on the last one. I think it might have been my naming of it, Starships Sacrifice and the Cannoli of Doom. Apparently that resonated. All right, let's see here. Let me go ahead and share screen. Yeah. Okay. So here we can see it.
We can blow it up.
Let me see if I can increase it here. All right, so that was the original, right?
Well, this is one of the variations of the XCV330. He has this is the variation that has the engine cluster out past the ring. So this is actually
that would be that here.
Yeah. So it's a little different than the XCV330, but at the same time, if you look at the very front part of it, and this is the XCV330 that everybody thinks about as the ring ship Enterprise. So the one on the right, or the two on the right, and the one on the bottom left are XCV330 essentially, and then you can see the difference in the design for the other one in the upper left-hand side. So you can see how they're different. And then this is the forward view and the back view of the XCV330 and the forward view of the other one. So you can see how in the picture, if you can zoom it up at all.
Hold on. Will it let me? Come on, you schmuck. No, it won't let me.
Okay, well.
Zoomed as I can zoom. Hold on, let me see here. Yeah.
So anyway, in that photo, the front end right there is what I was talking about, where that you see the two strong back structures, and in the middle third below, where it's like a nose cone kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if you just slap the saucer on top and have the building structures the way you do on the X or the NX-01, and then put the underneath structure underneath the hull instead of the the normal sensor array on the bottom, then yeah, you can have yourself a ready-made USPA, alternate ship class. I mean, there's not really much to it other than that.
I'm trying to remember where I saw the one guy that has the profile followings. I think this is him. Yeah. All right. This is the guy who has the model. Here it is.
That's nice. Yeah.
All right. And
sweet.
That's how it breaks apart for the construction.
Nice. I'd like to get one of those.
Get what?
I'd like to get one of those one day. Get it printed.
Yeah. And he even shows, here it is all broken down. The different parts, and there you have a 300 millimeter, a 30 centimeter ruler underneath it.
How big is it altogether? Like about 10 inches?
The whole thing together, what did he say? This is scaled to 1/1000 match the various polar lights Trek kits, and comes in at about 30 centimeters long. So you're looking at approximately 12 inches, basically. Yeah, this is 30 centimeters here. So it's just a little bit over 12 inches. So it'll be this long at 1/1000 scale. So let me go ahead and stop the sharing. There we go. Yeah. Where'd you go? Well, this is downright inconvenient. Sean, the great and powerful, come back. Come back. Let's text him. Where you go? Let's see what he has to say. All right, but yeah, that's basically what we were going to be talking about today. Was mostly about lower decks, and then we veered off onto our lower decks, and that's not cool. But he's not responding as of yet. It's been delivered. Maybe, he received it. He's responding. I can't wait to find out what he has to say. But other than that, not much to talk about here, especially with no one to talk to. I talk to myself way too much as it is. Phone died and dropped the connection. I'll be right there, he says, with great misspellings. We'll throw a thumbs up. So he probably running too close to the sun and didn't have his battery charged. That whole Icarus thing. And we'll just wait a couple minutes. And not that we're going to be on that much longer. I've got to go have dinner with my fandamily. Oh, there he is. Hey, Schmuckatelli. I was just telling everybody that we're not going to be on for much longer because I need to go have dinner with my fandamily.
Oh, fair enough. So I was going to say that, in terms of design, I would love to have a copy of that. It'd be a great table display, I think.
I think so as well, and that's one of the reasons. Even if I, there at the 1/1000 size, it's too big for my little bitty Creality Hallett 1 printer that I have, which the build area is about the size of this phone. It's not got a very large build area, and so what I would have to do is I would just have to find the largest piece on there. And then scale it down till it just fits on my printer. And then when I find out what size fits on my printer, scale everything down that same percentage. And then I make it. It's probably going to be close to a 1/2000. Although he did say on there, that he had also included a set of plans because he knew that people were going to want to make it bigger. So he included a set of plans where the rings were cut up into more things. So even if they did make it bigger, it would still fit on the Saturn Elegoo Saturn's size printer. So if I use that and import it, anyways. Sorry, my brain.
You're fine. You're having fun. That's all good.
All right. But anyways, yeah, if I get the files, we'll see what we can do to hook you up.
Cool.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
I might make you pay for resin.
That's fair. So I don't have any problem with that. So as for Lower Decks, since we got way off track and off topic, I will say I really enjoyed Lower Decks, the season finale. I think they, like you said, really tied off all their loose ends. I did like that the character arcs were mostly fulfilled. They didn't leave people hanging. I did find it very funny that Carol Freeman ended up going where she didn't want to go. Originally at the beginning of the season, she was like trying to find out why did my duplicate end up over here at Starbase Eddie, and all this sort of stuff, and then she ends up going. So
because it's the only thing that can handle the electronic interference. Yeah.
And then it was a fun capstone to a great series. I personally think that if they brought it back, I would still watch that out of it.
Oh yeah,
I think it's one of the best Star Trek series. I can turn it on and I can leave it on and I can enjoy it vicariously if I'm doing something else. And I don't never enjoy it. I actually don't cringe at any point in time when I have it on. It's just something I think that as a series, it was a great success. I wish they would continue it.
Yeah, I will not be disappointed when it comes back around for me to watch it again because, like I said, right now I'm going through everything, and I am going through Voyager right now. I'm on season 2, episode 15. That's where I was right now. I'm just almost to the end of Paradise.
Okay.
I've got about another 3 minutes left in the episode. But yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been having that play in the background as I've been working on the ships here and on the most important machine in the universe.
We'll have to leave a little thing that's in like a NX01 type of display where it says NX01, Tucker tube and Wilhelm modulator or whatever they call it, and then we do not know the purpose of this most ultimate device. Please do not move. It may cause universe-wide disruptions.
I am definitely going to, because I want to be able to put that on the table as a display. It'll be just a fun little thing off to the side and just, also put a QR code onto it to link it back over to that one web page that talks about how it is the most important device in the universe. But that's also one thing that at next week's meeting I want to bring up with thematics is I got to looking at a photo of the last convention that we went to, and it really looked like Daryl showing off all of his models. And I don't think it should be Daryl showing off all of his models. I think we need to come up with a more cohesive and representative table display. I like having my models out. Don't get me wrong. It's great. I love talking about them, but I don't want to monopolize things.
Fair.
Yeah.
I love your models myself. I personally think it's great. And I actually would this is an idea I had for at least the Beowulf, I have an extra TV that I don't use. And if I could find a portable mobile frame that I could actually stand it up in behind the table, then I could have it flip through graphics from a laptop that has a Windows desktop, role that's basically changing the desktop picture. And
the more pressing concern, how big is the TV?
It's about a 52-inch TV.
Yeah, so you need a frame for it, and you need a power supply.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, what would actually one of these things, save up your pennies like I do. $20 every week goes into a fund for my discretionary spending, so I can buy things like TOS, tricorders.
Tricorders.
Yeah. Well, it adds up. $20 a week. It adds up to $1,000 a year. Yeah.
I mean,
Um.
I'm not sassing that.
Yeah. No. I mean, it paid for that printer, but
that's how I got my Tomy Enterprise, the first one.
Exactly. But for stuff like that, what would be better is a small portable projector. That way, you just worry about the power for that. You can set up a nice, collapsible screen. All right, those are far more portable than having a full-on
LED screen.
Yeah, because I mean they've come down in size. We're old. We remember the CRTs. We remember, basically you needed two people to move a 32-inch TV.
Yeah, you
had to have two people, either that or be into self-flagellation. But so. Yeah, I mean, I used to use. I wouldn't say that I used to move them myself because I could never afford a 32-inch TV back then. I could maybe afford a 20. What is it? A 25?
20. It'd be 26, and then 28, and then 32.
Yeah,
that's how they went up in sizes. They
barely got
31,
to the 26s.
I remember ones out there, but
I remember getting into the 20-inch TVs, and I thought I was a baller. No, the portable projector is the way to go. Just start doing some research on them, and I tell you what, man, when they finally figure out this, what were we talking about? The tariffs. When they figure out this tariff shit again, you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff from China trying to move fast and hard, where they're going to try to start making up money and clearing whatever inventory they have.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I will be looking forward to that day because I actually want to buy some more uniforms.
Well, and that's one thing too with Joann's closing. My wife, the wonderful seamstress, because she's told me before, you just get the pattern, I can make you a uniform.
Oh, nice.
And which would be nice because she makes stuff for people all the time. She never makes anything for me. It's horrible. It's horrible being married.
Such drudgery.
It is. It's horrible.
Oh my god.
But so that's one of the things is if I can get the plans, what are they called?
The costume.
What are the plans called? Patterns. If I get patterns. I have somebody that I can force labor into it who pretends to love me.
So which pattern are you wanting to go to besides are you going to do another NX-01 outfit or?
I want that away mission.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Well, and it wouldn't hurt to have the pattern for the NX-01 overall to begin with.
Yeah,
because that's a good one to have. And I would love, like, one thing I want her to do with mine that I have now is, here's the wife.
Did I hear you say I don't make you stuff? Like your mom.
Your ears were burning.
Well, you know what they say: you marry your mother.
It's a good thing I love him.
There should be somebody in the background going, the on wound, and then the Star Trek music.
One thing that she's offered to do with that uniform is I've got all the zippers on it, and 3/4 of those zippers open to nothing. I mean, it's just fabric behind it. I want her to put pockets in it so I can use the damn zippers.
I was wondering about that. I didn't ask you about it. I meant to at one point in time when we were at the convention. I was like, do those actually work or do anything?
Most of them are like a Michael Jackson zipper jacket from the 80s. They do nothing.
The reason I asked is I bought a frock coat. I designed a frock coat for my ex-wife and Alta. And they had full-fledged outer pockets, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, these are pockets. No, there's no pocket there.
Well,
like, you're a woman. You don't get pockets. We don't give women pockets. What is this?
I still think women should boycott. Women should boycott anything that has faux pockets on it or no pockets on it. But they
I agree.
don't. They go with the, oh, it's cute and I have to have it for fashion. If you just boycott that, they would stop making outfits with no pockets.
Not that
That's
I'm
all we gotta do.
advocating violence. Not that I'm advocating violence or anything like that.
No.
But you know, there's also the whole thing. You know, you could go over to the designer and go, "What were you thinking?"
Oh, yeah, but then you got to deal with one of their favorite movies, The Devil Loves Prada, or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
And, you know, they don't care.
Or
It's all about
Zoolander.
fashion. Yeah.
Or Zoolander.
Are these pockets for ants?
You beat me to it. All right.
No,
Well,
but
we're
no,
gonna
the
discuss
two
next week.
the two hip pockets work. So I mean the two standard pockets work, but other than that, all the rest of the zippers are a lie, and I feel lied to. Right.
You feel traumatized, don't you?
A lot.
Uh-huh. So what are we going to discuss next week?
Oh God, I don't know. Well, next week we
Or
got
not next week, but the week after.
yeah.
We can actually discuss it at the Maddox meeting because we're going to be there together. So
Yeah, let's do that.
okay, that's cool.
All right.
All right,
Well,
fair enough.
take it easy, dude.
Take it easy.
Don't
Have a great
forget
night.
to go on to the YouTube so you can
Uh-huh.
rename, put a description on for this.
Okay.
All right. And
All right.
also take that URL and share it over to whatever
Okay.
Facebook page and stuff you have for your group.
Cool. Will do.
I'm lecturing you. Okay.
Consider myself lectured.
Okay, cool.
Have a
All
great
right.
night.
Ciao.